miles from Chicago in the dairy state of Wisconsin in Midwest America. 400 years ago, the French fur traders settled here. The Indians called it Milwaukee, the gathering place by the waters. But the city proper was founded just 150 years ago when a large influx of Germans opened Milwaukee's first breweries and established the trade that made the city famous. After the breweries came huge flour mills, tanneries, iron and steel factories. Soon Milwaukee was known as the toolbox of America, luring thousands of immigrants from all over Europe. Today, Milwaukee has a greater mix of nationalities than any other city in the States. It's a centre of culture with festivals, music and dance all year round. But Milwaukee citizens are renowned too for being fanatical sports enthusiasts. The 20,000-seater Bradley Centre is home for the Bucks, one of America's strongest basketball teams. At County Stadium, the Brewers regularly play in front of packed houses. And tomorrow, all 50,000 seats are taken for their first home game of the baseball season. And here downtown at the Mecca complex over the past week, 11 nations have been competing in the 1989 World Curling Championships. Hello there, welcome to Milwaukee. It's semi-finals day here at the Mecca, and joining us as always to watch the games, Doug Maxwell. Doug, welcome.
Well, a pleasure as always, Sally.
Doug, there's a new format this year to the competition. The sports ruling body, the ICF, decided to join both men's and women's competitions to run them together. It's worked pretty well for the spectators, I think, a lot more for them to watch. How have the competitors felt about it?
Well, one thing has been certain, you've had a few more bass voices to go with the soprano voices, and that makes it kind of interesting at times.
Of course, the other thing it does mean is that at this stage in the competition, there are 8 teams left, 4 semi-finals still to be played, and I'm afraid both British teams are out.
Yes, Scotland finished just out in the men's competition, winding up in 5th place, while the ladies wound up in 7th.
But he's quite happy because there's a prospect of a Canadian double in the final, Canada playing in both the semi-finals in the first session.
Indeed, we have Heather Houston returning from last year in the ladies' semi-final, and Pat Ryan returning from last year in the men's semis.
Well, let's talk about the women's semi-final first. Heather Houston from Thunder Bay in Ontario. For her, it's her second time at the World, as you said.
Well, that makes it a little difficult because after losing last year, she has to win this year pretty well.
Oh, she's in big trouble in Canada.
Very big trouble.
And her opposition, Andrea Schöpp, she's the holder of the event. This is her 5th time at the World Championships, although she's only 23, so she's quite something to contend with.
She came up the hard way because finished in a tie for 3rd, had to win a tiebreaker to even get into the semi-finals.
What about the men's competition then? Pat Ryan up against Thomas Norgren of Sweden.
There's great pressure on Pat, you know, because he's the first Canadian to have repeated the Canadian Championship since 1970-71 when Don Duguid did it. He does not want to be remembered as the first Canadian to lose 2 worlds.
Well, of course, he lost last year to Eigil Ramsfell of Norway. His opposition today, Thomas Norgren of Sweden, a former European champion, so another force to contend with.
Yes, and one of the nice guys of curling.
Oh, well, there are lots of nice guys in curling. Doug, let's see some curling. Thank you for now. Incidentally, this match is a rerun of the women's final played last year in Glasgow. On that occasion, the honours went to Germany. But when the 2 teams played each other in the league earlier this week, it was Canada that won. In this match, Canada took a 1-0 lead after the first end, but Germany got 2 back in the second. The third was blanked, so as we join the game in the 4th, it's Andrea Schöpp leading Heather Houston by 2 shots to 1. Canada are playing the Redstones. Our commentators are Jane Sanderson and Willie Jimison.
Barbara Haller, the second player on the German team here in the first of the ladies' semi-finals in the 1989 World Championships. The score at the moment is 2 shots to Germany and 1 to Canada. Heather Houston, skipping the Canadian team for the 2nd year in a row, missed a delicate takeout shot on the second end, giving the German skip, the reigning world champion Andrea Schöpp, the chance to take her 2. Now there's a guard out front, Germany are attacking, but Heather Houston has to do something to counter it. With me, of course, is Jane Sanderson, who is vastly experienced in the world of international curling and coaching. Jane, this is developing into quite an intriguing tactical battle.
It certainly is. Canada gambled by coming round a T guard, going for her 2, and she's getting into trouble with that gamble at the moment.
Well, we can see there that the Germans, who are playing yellow in this game, just put a lovely shot in there at the top of the house. Diane Adams, second player on the Canadian team from Thunder Bay in Ontario, just trying to play a takeout shot, removing that yellow stone that the Germans have just put in there. Just sweeping it to hold it for line.
Your way. Throw it.
Oh, she must have played that one a little bit tight, Jane.
She'll not be too unhappy at that. The forefoot's opened up again, Willie.
But all the same, we've got a situation developing here with lots of yellow stones around. I mean, that's just building up pressure for Heather Houston.
Very true, and there is a lot of pressure on her as the Canadian representative here.
She, of course, was the runner-up in last year's championship in Glasgow, losing to the Germans.
A lot of pressure for Canada because they're rated as #1 in the world. So they come here expecting to win, Willie.
We're looking at Monika Wagner, third player in the German team, being asked to play an out-turn draw shot, just sending it up the ice with sufficient weight to come to rest in the circles.
Yeah, come. Yeah.
Now this looks a little light. They're sweeping it hard here, Jaden. It's beginning to draw off the slide there and into the rougher ice. Andrea's out there helping them. That looks like it's going to pull up short.
I think they might make it if they sweep hard.
Weiter, weiter.
And indeed they do. A lovely shot. Line 3 counters. So what's Heather going to do here? My bet would be play a strike in the front yellow.
I think she'll move the front yellow. That's really the only one that threatens her at the moment, Willie, because it's covering the forefoot.
The event being enjoyed, of course, by a lot of Canadian visitors who've come down to Wisconsin to fill this Mecca Center, enjoying every moment of this semi-final and hanging on its every importance. Lorraine Lang,
Hurry hard.
third player in the Canadian rink,
Hurry up hard.
trying to take this front one out, and the roll option is good for her if she can get it. Oh boy, oh boy. Unhappy Canucks, I think.
I think so too.
Well, Lorraine won't be pleased with that kind of shot. I mean, curling at this level, you should not be missing open takeouts.
She was a little bit light in her weight, Willie, for the ice she was given.
I think we should really bear in mind that this team are so desperate to win this championship. I mean, if you go home to Canada, having represented them internationally and having lost the final of a world championship, you're not a popular person, and I think they've really had a difficult season. Andrea Schöpp, on the other hand, I think she's played in 3 world finals. Of course, she won last year in Glasgow, and she is a very, very determined competitor, and it would, well, nothing would please her more than to pick up a consecutive title.
Of course, she lost the 86 and 87 finals, so she has a vast amount of experience when it comes to this stage in a ladies' world championship.
Did she lose both those finals to Canadians, Jane?
She did, yes. She
Das
lost in
war wahrscheinlich ein Tick
Chicago in
schneller so
87
rüber. Ja.
and Kelowna in 86. Pat Saunders and Marlon Dart.
All right. And Kelowna 86, the championship you played in.
No, I coached Isabel Torrens there.
Okay.
Nur Länge. Wow. Lang. Wow.
Monika Wagner playing her second stone and this the fourth end. Just trying to put a guard up front.
Wow.
Trying to protect this position she's got. I'm not reading the speed of this ice at all. Well, that's coming in right into the house. I don't know if she really wanted it there, though, Jane.
No, I think she would rather have had it further out, but at the end of the day, she'll be looking to make Canada take their one, and she's certainly going to do that, the way things are lying at the moment.
Of course, if she forced Canada to take the one, then that would tie up the game at 2-all. Germany would have the last turn advantage. I think we just overheard Heather saying to herself, oh, how depressing. And that's what's depressing about it, 4 stones counting against her. Okay, the nomination here, I think, for Lorraine Lang is to try and strike those 2 yellow stones in the front. Try and remove them. Oh, she came out like a bullet. Must be tight for line. They're sweeping it straight away. Diane Adams in the left, Tracy Kennedy in the right, working really hard.
Hit him hard.
She hits it. Well, that improves the situation, Jane. It pushes the stones closer to the tee line, pushes them further to the extremities of the circle and leaving the whole of the house open. Really, Andrea, I think, now has no option but to bring the game straight into the circles. If she tries to play a guard in that lot, Heather will just say, thank you very much, corner guard, and come straight round her.
Exactly. I think she has to carry her game plan out of forcing Canada to take her one here, Willie. She doesn't need to gamble at this stage.
So she's probably discussing with her third player Monica Wagner just where to put the stone in the house. They're going to find a bit that they haven't played on or they're having a bit of trouble with. Maybe a bit that's slightly ridgy and difficult to read.
There's certainly runs in this ice now which weren't there at the beginning of the week.
Overhead we see the 3 yellow stones counting for Germany. And we're looking at the 2 worried faces of the Canadians.
Heather knows she's a big stone coming up.
Yeah. Just chatting slightly nervously. Score at the moment then, 2 to Germany, 1 to Canada. In the 4th end of this 10-end semi-final. Oh, there's a look of concentration on the face of this very talented young lady from Garmisch-Partenkirchen in Germany. Nominating the out-turn draw shot. I think we'll probably see this one coming to rest somewhere in the blue 4-foot circle or just slightly to the right of it. That's the target anyway.
Yeah.
All joining in the sweeping now, but this ice is fast. They'll get it there. She wants it just on top of that blue circle. Oh, beautiful shot there from Andrea Schöpp, really putting the pressure on the Canadians.
Oh, sorry, turn.
Well, there's the problem that's facing Canada. 4 yellow shots against them for Germany.
She guards it. She's a tough guard. You can't even watch them.
Well, whilst the Canadians debate what they're going to do, the Germans are wondering what they're going to have for tea. They've done the work so far, and they've done it really well. Look at that. Well, Jane, what do you think Heather's going to play? That looks to me as if she's going to play some kind of draw shot.
I think she is. She was discussing how well Andrea could guard it if she made the shot, so it looks like she's coming to face the yellow.
Just right on top of it. I don't want to move it at all. What did that one run? 23.5. 3.5.
Interesting tactic here. She's going to try and put a stone, she said, on top of the yellow one that Andrea's just played. By that, she means just to freeze against it to lie a very safe second shot.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thinking then that Andrea will guard that.
Yes, and she reckons that it's a difficult part of the ice to guard, so if Andrea doesn't make the guard, she'll pick up her 2.
She's got the hit and sit for 2, but also she's got the practice with this shot for her 4-foot draw to take 1 if the guard from Andrea works out.
Exactly. Good thinking by the Canadian skip.
Mine's good.
Great thinking. How many teams would just have taken the coward's way out and strike?
Most teams, I think, Willie.
Well, they're going to have to work this one. We hear the Canadian fans in the crowd urging them on. They've got to bite the white to kill 3 of them.
Okay.
Ooh.
She'll not be happy with that, I'm afraid.
What does that look like? 23.5. Yeah.
Well, what did that look like? 23.5, they said. Can you explain exactly what they're talking about there, Jane?
They're timing the ice. I think most of the players in the team are wearing stopwatches, and I would take it with that timing. They're taking it from tee to tee.
Yeah. And I think I'm right in saying that Heather Houston hasn't really played many draw shots in this game, so that will be her first draw shot. She now has a feel of the weight of the ice, and she knows that with the last stone here, she's got to try and get one closer to the centre of the house than those 4 Germans counting. Of course, the way you score in this game is by getting stones closer to the centre. There is no point value in going into the coloured circles at all. It's all closer to the centre of the house.
Correct.
Kannst nur noch mehr geben, bisschen. Ja.
Andrea obviously agrees with us.
3?
She'll be very keen to block the draw to that 4-foot now.
So she's going to try and put something in the way to make the draw a bit more difficult.
Exactly.
Andrea Schöpp then, reigning world champion from Germany, playing her last stone in this, the 4th end of the first semi-final against the Canadians. Lying 4 shots at the moment probably, and now just trying to make life difficult for Heather Houston of Canada to block off the line for Heather's last draw.
Fest.
The 2 Haller sisters, Barbara and Christina, just sweeping this. It's got to get over that thin line we're looking there in the foreground. No, drops it short. Simply because she went out into the rough ice that we haven't played on before. Everything's sort of beyond the edge of that kind of 4-foot circle there, Jane. Round about the periphery of the rink is just a bit slower than the ice up the centre, because most stones come up the centre.
That's correct, Willie. And they have been playing the sheet for 4 ends from in to out, so there hasn't been a lot of play coming down the wings.
The applause then from the Canadian fans here to encourage their skip Heather Houston, who is facing a really, really tough shot. She's 2-1 down at the moment. She's lying 4 against. She has got to make this.
No, it's a bit more.
Well, there's the difficulty. 4 German counters in there. See if this young lady from Thunder Bay can produce the goods. Careful, she's saying. Sweepers on the left, Diane Adams on the right, Tracy Kennedy. It's their job to make sure this one is good. It's biting now. How's she going? Has she got the line? Is she wrecking the front one?
She might roll. She might roll.
Where's she rolling to? Oh, and a great draw from Heather Houston. Thunder Bay in Canada tying the score up 2-all, and the Canadian fans are ecstatic. 2-all then after the 4th end.
2 very evenly matched teams here, both desperate to make the final, and that's how it stayed over the next 4 ends. So as we rejoin play in the 9th, it's all square again at 5 each.
Well, it's back to the problem of what kind of weight to
There
play.
is a line here that they will run.
She was too light with her last, so...
Okay, normal?
Still worried about the ice, of course. They can play a takeout shot at varying weights. The faster you throw the stone, the less it curls. Those are time clocks in the background there. Ticking away in the left was the red lettering, denoting the time left for the Canadians to play their shot. Telestrator there just indicating where the strike is going to come in. Try and remove the yellow stone to the right there.
Kind of wait. Normal. We got it.
As far as the time is concerned, Jane, of course, each team is allotted a total of 75 minutes, and they count it rather like they do in chess, alternating the running of the clock. If they don't play the game within 75 minutes, they forfeit the whole thing. But she's got plenty left.
Yes, it hasn't been a problem this week at all, Willie.
First time, of course, that time has been recorded in the World Champions. Spending now, Jane. Where's she going?
She looks good.
Oh, this looks tremendous. What's she going to do? Plays it beautifully. Looks like she's going to get 2. Certainly 1. But just having a look. The Canadian fans like it. 7-5 to Canada going into the 10th end. A beautiful shot from Heather Houston. Andrea Schöpp then is facing something of a dilemma. She is 2 shots down, and that's the dilemma. The red stone in the center of the circles is Canada's. Heather Houston has played her last stone. She put that long guard on there, Jane, to try and stop Andrea coming up to tap up the yellow and, you know, onto the red at the back for the 2, which is the only way she's going to survive this match. Remember, the score at the moment is 9 to Canada, 7 to Germany. She needs to count 2, and I'm just not at all sure that there's enough room to come round that guard at a tap back weight to make the shot. What do you think?
It's very, very neat. That was a good guard that went on, but she's no option but to try it, Willie. 2 shots down at the 10th. She's got to go for that too.
This win here for Canada would go a long way to dispelling the nightmare of Glasgow 88 for this young lady, Heather Houston.
It certainly would. She hasn't really had a good championship here so far, so possibly we'll see her roll now.
Reigning world champion Andrea Schöpp from West Germany, trying to play this delicate in-turn tap-back shot on her own yellow, back onto the Canadian counter. They're not touching it.
It's not right.
It's looking wide. Where's it going? It's going nowhere. She misses, and Canada win the game, 10 shots to 7. Don't the Canadians love it? Canadian fans applauding their team from Thunder Bay. The score in the end, Canada 8, Germany 5.